In this video, I want to give an introduction to solving an absolute value equation. So an absolute value equation is something like this. The absolute value of x equals 4. And to solve it, we just want to figure out what all the possible x values are. So before we do that, I first want to look at what the absolute value is. So let's remember that the absolute value is a function that gives us, whatever the input is, it gives us just the positive part of that number. So for example, the absolute value of -2 is equal to 2, right? It only gives you the positive part of that number. Now, if that number happens to be positive already, like the absolute value of 2, then it stays the same, nothing changes. So when you look at the absolute value of something equaling 2, there's two possible inputs. One input is 2, the other input is -2, because both of them will be 2 once we take their absolute values. So when we go back to our absolute value equation, absolute value of x equals 4, think about this and let's take a look at what we can do. So if we know that the absolute value of x is equal to 4, then whatever is inside this absolute value, in this case x, could be equal to +4, or it could be equal to -4. So if it was equal to 4, then it would just be 4. And if it was equal to -4, then the absolute value would make it +4. So the two possible solutions in this case are 4 or -4. And if there was something more complicated inside the absolute value, the beginning step of this process would be the same, but the end result would be different, and there would be more steps to solve it. So let's actually take a look at one more problem. So let's take a look at the absolute value of x minus 3 is equal to 5. Okay, so if the absolute value of something is equal to 5, then that something is either equal to +5 or -5. So we would say x minus 3 is equal to 5, or x minus 3 is equal to -5. Now, to solve for x, we have two separate equations that need to be solved separately. So here we would add 3 to both sides, so x equals 8, or here we would add 3 to both sides, so x equals -2. So the two answers in this case would be 8 or -2. And those would both be possible answers. And we can check that by putting them back into the absolute value equation. So 8 minus 3 is 5. Absolute value of 5 is 5, so that works. -2 minus 3 is -5. Absolute value of -5 is 5, so it works. And that's how we solve an absolute value equation.